Welcome, hobby enthusiasts! I'm Benne here at Minimal Tabletop, and today I'll show you how to paint new Necron models that look as if they have just crawled out of the ground under which they have been buried for thousands of years and are now awakened again to silence all living things. I only use very simple and quick painting techniques that are particularly suitable for beginners, but also for anyone who wants to have their new Necron models ready for tabletop quickly and easily. So, let's get started! I first prime the models thoroughly with black primer spray from all sides. Then I only spray the models in the direction where light might hit it from above with Runelord Brass spray paint and leave out the shady areas, which already gives a great light-shadow contrast on the model. Now I'm starting to apply the basic colors. With Leadbelcher I look for elements that I want in a steel look. These include the cables, the belly of the Scorpic Destroyer, as well as the pistons on the legs and part of the handles of the sword. For the plasma scythe, I paint the gripper arm, which I would like to have in this raw metal look. The broken window frames on its base are also getting a coat of paint. The worm-like tail is also painted in this step. Also the neck of the Canoptech construct. Don't forget the small scarabs on the destroyed section of the rune piece. And then the ring around the large energy ball in the middle. Next time I paint everything that will later receive a ghostly green-blue shimmering energy effect in Stormhost Silver. First of all the sword blades of the Scorpic Destroyer. The color should be quite smooth, and if necessary a second layer can still be applied, which then makes it really opaque and strong. I would also like to create an energy effect on the cables in his chest, and therefore paint the cables in light silver at a slight angle from below. I also give the slits in his chest a shimmering coat of paint with a thinner brush. And the eyes are also highlighted that way. Now all the spheres in his arms and legs are getting the silver treatment. The plasma sieve gets a few dots on the gripper arm, where I like to imagine fluctuating energy. The eye gets a small dot. The ball at the end of the tail is also being painted. And finally, the large energy ball in the middle is painted with Stormhost silver, from both sides of course. I paint a skull on the base of the Scorpack with rock-cut flesh. I do the same with the piece of ruin on the base of the plasma sieve. The stones on the bases get a layer of Stormvermin fur for me. I also paint this piece of the rune in this color. Now for the funnest part, throw the Necron in the dirty ground. I use Stirland mud and dab the paint very thickly on the model with an old mangy brush where I like it. In this step it depends very much on personal preference, how much of the model should be wrapped in dirt. In addition, you can cover up some previous painting errors here, which can always be of great advantage. In this step I also paint the base so that everything can dry nicely together. If you want to paint multiple Necron models at once in this color scheme, now is the perfect time for having dinner in between, reading a book or letting it dry overnight so that you can carry on the next day. Now that they are dry, the dirt layer looks really nice, but I want to highlight it a little more and dry brush the rough paint all over with Rakarth Flash. Next I'll give the resurrected Necron constructs an even more ghostly look with weathering effects on their metal bodies. To do this, I take Nihilakh Oxide and apply the paint carefully and sparingly to the places where I suspect the metal would oxidize. I think this effect is really great and I will intensify it again in a later step. With Coelia Green Shade I now create the ghostly glimmering energy effects. I spread the shade very generously where I previously painted everything with Spermhose Silver and dabbed the thin paint off with a dry brush wherever too much paint has pooled. After the shade has dried a bit, I move on to my favorite step, covering everything with Artworks Earthshade. I also spread the paint very generously and dab off any excess paint like before. However, I carefully leave out the places where I previously used Coralia green shade so that I don't destroy the beautiful ghostly effect. I also completely shade the base in this step. I absolutely love how the Necron killing machines suddenly come to life. The two creepy machine beings can now dry for a while. And now the moment that we have probably all been waiting for, attaching the tufts of grass. I use a small dab of superglue per tuft for this. The base also gets tufts so that the ground better reflects the dirt on the Necrons. To press it into place, I just take the back of a brush. Where I put a bit too much of the superglue, which results in a thin white border around the tufts, I go over it again with dried bark so that the grass can better merge with the rest of the model. I now highlight the oxidized areas one last time with Nearlac oxide by lightening the areas a little bit. Don't forget the rim of the base. I chose Runelord Brass here. As a base color for my Necron color scheme, it symbolizes that there are many more Necron skeletons, slumbering underneath, just waiting to be resurrected and to silence all living things. I enjoyed this color scheme a lot and I can absolutely recommend it to anyone who likes this look. It is not the fastest painting technique, as you always have to observe long drying times between individual steps, but the effect is nonetheless impressive, and on top of that it's very easy and relaxing to paint. I also found it super exciting to experiment with texture colors and make them the central element on the model. What are your experiences with color schemes with texture color? Have you tried it before, or do you want to try it now? Let's talk about it in the comments. Until next time.